teachers, trainers, professors, professionals, official, listener, learners. I welcome all my respected doctors and directors. I welcome all adorable ministers and managers. I welcome honorable advocates, supervisor, administrative advisors. I welcome the most honorable President Mr. Modi ji. Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily cordially welcome. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section today that we are describing our holy Indian spiritual, social, cultural identities in the form of unity and diversity. So let's go through what is happening around the world. No nation should provide safe haven to terrorist India and UAE says. India and UAE says no nation should provide safe haven to terrorists. Modi breaks protocol to meet praise Nayyad on Sudan. Modi breaks protocol to meet praise Nayan on sudden 3 hour visit from New Delhi. India and the United Arab Emirates on Monday retaliated their unequivocal condemnation of terrorism in all its forms, including cross-border terrorism, asserting that no country should provide safe haven to those who finance, plan, support, or commit terrorist acts. The strong message was delivered during talks between Prime Minister Modi and UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who was on a 3 hour visit to India. The two leaders agreed to deepen cooperation under the Financial Action Task Force framework to counter terror financing and strengthen anti-money laundering measures. The commitment was reflected in the joint statement issued after Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan's official visit to impacts to boost defense energy ties. From New Delhi, India and the UAE on Monday agreed to work towards a comprehensive strategic defense partnership framework marking a significant expansion of bilateral cooperation in defense, security, and advanced technologies. Multiple agreements were signed across the defense, energy, infrastructure, space, and food security sectors, underlining the depth of the India-UAE comprehensive strategic partnership. A letter of intent on the strategic defense partnership was published. Names of all 1.25 crore Bengal voters on discrepancy list. Supreme Court to EC. Victory of Mati Manush. TMC says this is a victory of Mati Manush. We defeated them in court today. We will trounce them during polls in April. Stay prepared, West Bengal is not UP, Bihar, MP or Gujarat. Abhishek Banerjee, senior TMC leadership of New Delhi, the Supreme Court on Monday directed the Election Commission to publish the names of all 1.25 crore voters who have been put on the logical discrepancies list during the ongoing SIR of electoral rolls in West Bengal, which goes to the polls before May. He told the EC to display the name that Gram Panchayat Bhavans, block offices of talukas, and ward offices for the convenience of those affected during the special intensive revision of electoral rolls. Logical discrepancies in closely linking with the 2002 voter list include instances of a mismatch in the parent's name and the age difference between a voter and their parent being less than 15 years or more than 50 years. A three-judge bench of Chief Justice of India, Suryakant Justice Dipankar Datta and Justice Jayamala Bharti said those likely to be affected by the SIR of the electoral rolls in West Bengal should be allowed to submit their documents or objections. Hearing petition alleging arbitrariness and procedural irregularities in the SIR in West Bengal, the bench directed the office for submitting the documents and objections shall be set up within the Panchayat Bhavan or block offices. The state government shall provide adequate manpower to the State Election Commission for the deployment at the Panchayat Bhavan and block offices. In this regard, we direct that every district shall meticulously comply with the direction issued by the EC or the state government for the staff for smooth functioning. The bench shall. It directed the West Bengal Director General of Police to ensure that there was no law and order problem and that all activities were completed smoothly. Over 1 crore people have been notified. Please understand the stress people are suffering. We shall issue directions where needed. The bench shall. The Supreme Court had on January 12 asked the EC to respond to petition filed by Trinamool Congress TMC MPs Derek O'Brien and Dola Sen, alleging arbitrariness and procedural irregularities in the ongoing SIR in West Bengal. At 45, Navin elected BJP's youngest president after unopposed election. Modi Shah among proposers. Formal announcement today from New Delhi. The ruling BJP on Monday got its 12th president with Bihar's Navin winning uncontested. Prime Minister Modi was among the proposers. The formal announcement of Navin election will take place on Tuesday, concluding the BJP transitional election process that commenced with the membership drive in November 2024. Navin 45 will be the youngest BJP chief and the first to be born after the party was formed in 1980. He will replace BJP Himachal Pradesh veteran and Union Health Minister JP Nadda. who assumed charge in January 2020 and was on an extension for a year and a half. The BJP president term, as mandated by the party constitution, is 3 years. The party's parliamentary board, the highest decision-making body, can, however, recommend. Government imposes wheat stock limit on traders. From New Delhi, the center on Monday issued orders to regulate wheat stocks across the country, imposing strict limits on the quantity that traders, retailers, processors, and other entities can hold until March 31 in a bid to curb hoarding and ensure adequate market supply. The directive was issued under the Essential Commodities Act. Government U-turn on Banga strike days after ban wishing to claim PVFM Chima says no discrepancy in records, rights, miscommunication. News from Jalandhar. On the back foot, Punjab's Aam Aadmi Party government today gave a clean sheet to the influential Raso Khana Shri Kamal Raja Sahib over allegations of possessing 139 uncounted fruits of Guru Granth Sahib found at the Banga shrine. Finance Minister Rupal Chima today visited the shrine along with Anandpur Sahib MP Malvinder Singh Kang and Education Minister Harjot Bain at Majra Nawabad village and said there was no discrepancy regarding the rules at the shrine. His statement comes in the wake of the challenge through by the management committee of the Rashtrakhana to the government's claim of tracing 139 souks there. The committee had asked Banga MLA Sukhvinder Singh Sukhi and Anandpur Sahib MP Kang to draw the line and clarify whether they stood with the government or the shrine, which commands a massive following in He Doaba, in the Doaba region. Sukhi elected on the SAD ticket before joining the AAP resigned yesterday as chairman of Punjab State Container and Warehouse Corporation as an issue snowballed. Not sure if KPs want to settle in Valley Farooq says from Jammu, India's GDP to grow at 7.3% for final year 26, IMF says from New Delhi. Government imposes wheat stock limit on traders from New Delhi. High Court jumps Sangar's plea against jail for death of rape victim skin from New Delhi. The Delhi High Court on Monday declined to suspend the 10-year sentence imposed on expired BJP leader Kuldeep Singh Senghal for his role in the custodial death of the Unnao rape survivor's father. But Justice Ravindra Dudeja dismissed Senghal's application for interim relief, holding that no case was made out for suspending the sentence. The court made it clear that Senghal's prolonged time in jail could not justify relief, particularly when delays in the appeal process were partly attributable to the multiple applications filed by him. The judge observed that instead of granting suspension, the appropriate course should be to ensure that the appeal itself was heard. The appeal itself was heard without further delay. The matter has now been listed for detailed hearing on February 3 and was sentenced on March 13, 2020 by a trial court to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment. Commando hurt in Kishtwar encounters comes to injuries from Jammu. A special forces commando who was injured during an encounter with Pakistan trained terrorist in The mountainous Kishtwar district on Sunday succumbed to his injuries. The encounter took place in the dense forest area of Singapore in Chatru, where the army launched Operation Tracy 1. Sixth and last son to lost to Chitta, Ludhiana women tragedy bears Punjab drug scouts from Shariwala, Ludhiana. कल यूएई के राष्ट्रपति 2 घंटे के लिए भारत दौरे पर आए। इसी दौरान मोदी और अल नशन अल नहान अल नहान की तस्वीरें पाकिस्तानियों को चुभ रही हैं। तभी तो पाकिस्तानी अवाम एक पाकिस्तानी एक्सपर्ट ने शहबाज सरकार को फटकारा है। वो कहा जैसे भारतीय पीएम और अल नहान मिल रहे हैं कि आपने पाकिस्तानी नेतृत्व के साथ अब अरब के नेता फील्ड मार्शल हाथ पकड़ा या सिर झुकाया। वैसे तो मरियम नवाज ने यूएई राष्ट्रपति, लेकिन वो तो जैसे बादशाह हाथ नहीं करता है पकड़ लो। दूसरे पास पाक एक्सपर्ट ने कहा भारत यूएई का रिश्ता नए दौर में जा रहा है। तीसरे एक्सपर्ट ने कहा नहान पाक आए तो सीधे शिकार पर निकल गए। शहबाज उनसे जंगल में जाकर मिले, लेकिन भारत में डील कर रहे हैं। दरअसल इस दौर में भारत यूएई के बीच 9 बड़े समझौते हुए हैं। भारत यूएई ने 6 साल में 18 लाख करोड़ के कारोबार का लक्ष्य रखा है। तो परमाणु ऊर्जा, एआई, सुपर कंप्यूटर, दोनों देश मिलकर साथ में हथियारों का निर्माण करने वाले हैं। पाक ने पाक के J-17 को लात मारकर यूएई भारत की ब्रह्मोस दिख सकता है। पाकिस्तान में क्यों मची हलबली, पाकिस्तान मुस्लिम नाटो प्लान फेल। मोदी नाम की तस्वीरों से हड़काम, शहबाज मुनीर ब्रिगेड में उछल कूद। पाकिस्तान का मुस्लिम नाटो प्लान फेल, मोदी यूएई में 9 डील से पाक परेशान। 100 घंटे बाद निकले युवराज युवराज के कितने दिन होगा? 100 घंटे बाद निकले और विक्रम मिश्री विदेश सचिव। मोदी ने पाक के एजेंडे की हवा निकाली। भारत यूएई ने कैसे पाक का प्लान फेल किया? विक्रम मिश्री विदेश सचिव। पाकिस्तान में क्यों मची हड़कंप? मोदी नाम की तस्वीरों में से हड़कंप। China's birth rate shrinks to historic low as demographic spread continues from Beijing. China's population shrank for the fourth consecutive year as birth rates in 2025 fell by about 10 million from a decade earlier. A trend widely blamed on the long-term effects of the former one-child policy. According to the data released by National Bureau of Statistics on Monday, only 7.92 million babies were born in 2025 compared to 9.54 million in 2024, a decline of 17%. This marked the lowest birth figure since records began in 1949 and broke the previous lowest record set in 2023. The year India overtook China is the most populous country according to a United Nations report. Based on the current fertility rates in China, the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs estimated in 2024 that China's population would decline to 633 billion by 2100. As per NBC data released on Monday, China's total population fell by 3.39 billion in 2025 to 1.4049 billion from 1.4083 billion a year earlier. Also, Chennai is currently grappling with a rapidly aging population. According to the data at the end of 2024, the number of people aged 60 and above had hit 310 million. Supreme Court flags exorbitant rise in airfares during festivals, New Delhi. Expressing concern over unusual rise in airfares during the festivals, the Supreme Court on Monday said it would interfere with the unpredictable functionaries in airfares. Just see the exploitation of passengers done during the Kumbh and other festivals. High Court questions 2016 tax notices against Prano Radhika Roy from New Delhi imposes cost on IT department. The Delhi High Court on Monday set aside the income tax reassessment notices issued in March 2016 to NDTV founders Pranoy and Radhika Roy concerning certain interest-free loans extended by NDTV promoter company RRP Unfolding Private Limited. Don't help fuel terrorism in our neighborhood. EAM to Poland saying selective targeting of India over Ukraine was unfair and unjustified. From New Delhi, in a blunt articulation of India's concern, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Monday asked Poland to display zero tolerance towards terrorism in India's neighborhood and questioned against what he described as the unfair and selective targeting of India, including on issues linked to tariffs and geopolitical alignments. Addressing police, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Radoslav Sikorski during their meeting here. Jaishankar, without naming Pakistan, said Poland should be mindful of the long-standing challenge of cross-border terrorism faced by India. Poland should display zero tolerance for terrorism and not help fuel the terrorist infrastructure in our neighborhood, he said in remarks reflecting New Delhi's sensitivities over external engagements in South Asia. Referring to the Ukraine conflict, the EAM said he had earlier shared India's views candidly with Sikorsky in meeting in New York and Paris, while repeatedly underlining that selective targeting of India was unfair and unjustified. Sikorsky, in his remarks, said he completely agreed with Jaishankar on the unfairness and selective targeting in the context of tariffs, particularly with regard to India's relation with Russia. The meeting comes months after Sikorsky's visit to Islamabad in October, where he had wide-ranging talks with Pakistan Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar. A joint statement issued after that visit included a reference to the Kashmir issue, which was closely watched in New Delhi. Punjab and Haryana High Court wants its UNESCO tagged campus expanded direct duty to act. Matter listed for further hearing tomorrow from Chandigarh, a division bench of the Punjab and Haryana High Court has directed the UT administration to immediately place before the center a concept not proposing additional construction of about 20.5 lakh square feet, giving fresh impetus to the High Court's long pending expansion plan. It would be appropriate to direct the Chandigarh administration to ensure that the first concept not proposing an additional construction area of 20.5 lakh square feet is forwarded to the Government of India well before January 20 to enable its inclusion in the International Management Plan. The bench of Chief Justice Sri Nagu and Justice Sanjeev Very observed. The UT administration was further directed to email the concept note directly to the authorities concerned in addition to sending it to the government of India, which was in turn directed to the concept not to the foundation lay Qaboos by January 21. Punjab and Haryana High Court's original building, an iconic structure designed by Le Corbusier, has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site as part of the Capitol Complex in Chandigarh. The entire Capitol Complex, including the High Court block, stands nominated and protected under the World Heritage Framework. As a result, any development or intervention around the World Heritage Site is required to be referred to the World Heritage Committee for its advice in terms of Clause 172 of the operational guidelines for the implementation of the World Heritage Convention. In keeping with this requirement, the concept not for the proposed expansion of the High Court complex is required to be submitted to the Foundation Le Corbusier. The bench added that the parties before the court were in consensus that they were racing against time. As the last date for submission of the concept note to the Foundation Le Corbusier was January 21, the directions were issued during the hearing of the public interest petition filed by Vinod Datewal and others against the Union of India and other respondents. At the outset, UT senior standing counsel and senior advocate Amit Jhanji informed the bench that two concept notes along with drawing had been prepared. One proposing 20.5 lakh square feet of additional construction and the other 19.8 lakh square feet. Senior counsel appearing for the Punjab and Haryana High Court Bar Association as well as the PIL petitioner bought back the larger proposal. The matter has been listed again for hearing on January 21 and directed to the place of the urgent list. The latest development builds on momentum generated earlier this week when the Chandigarh administration issued a letter of intent to a concern for conducting a heritage impact assessment and preparing a concept note. मोदी का युवा फैक्टर चंडीगढ़ पुलिस और गैंगस्टरों में मुठभेड़ जवाबी फायरिंग में 3 गैंगस्टरों को लगी गोली हट्टा हत्याकांड की गुत्थी पुलिस ने सुलझाई रजनीश गैंग के बताए जा रहे हैं गैंगस्टर पुलिस और गैंगस्टरों में मुठभेड़ चंडीगढ़ से बेटी की शादी को लेकर परेशान था कमल जवाबी फायरिंग में 3 गैंगस्टरों को लगी गोली बेटा ही निकला हत्यारा साक्ष्य के आधार पर हुई पहचान डीआईजी अलीगढ़ से Here begins 2 hours morning Gurbani broadcast from Golden Temple from Amritsar. India Radio Amritsar has begun broadcasting full 2 hour early morning Gurbani from the Golden Temple. A move widely welcomed by listeners. The service initiated by Prasar Bharati from January 13 enables devotees in Amritsar, Tarntaran and Gurdaspur district, as well as listeners across the international border in Pakistan to listen to the sacred Kirtan since the launch of AIR Amritsar on September 24, 2018. The station has been broadcasting Gurbani from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. The FM transmission gets relayed from AIR's Garinda Village Center near Atari and is operated under the National Services Division of AIR. Besides Gurbani, the division also airs special Guru and Saraki programs, which has audiences in Pakistan too. Meanwhile, AIR Jalandhar has been airing Kirtan from the Golden Temple for 3 hours daily on medium wave, including a 2 hour morning slot from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Former engineer Ajla, Hardeep Singh Aujla, who had been spearheading the demands at medium wave transmissions were often unclear in distant areas and had also lost relevance as the use of midwave radio has declined. FM transition offers between FM transmissions offers better sound quality and is free from signal shadow caused by high-rise buildings. Residents of our border districts of Amritsar, Taran, Gurdaspur and Pathankot will now be able to listen the full Gurbani 2 hours clearly on FM, added Ajla. He expresses hope that AIR Amritsar would also start the evening Gurbani broadcast from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the lines of AIR Jalandhar Kulwant Singh, Khalfi, patron of the Amritsar Vikas Mancha, said many people still prefer listening to Gurbani on the radio. Even in Lahore, several listeners turned into Gurbani rendered in classical ragas, including noted Punjabi poet Ustad Daman, who was known to listen to Kirtan regularly. He said, Satnam Singh of Dhotiar village said listening to the morning Kirtan on the radio was like a daily act of worship for him. The demand for Gurbani broadcast on radio dates back to the period of the Dharamyud Morcha in 1982. After Operation Blue Star in June 1984, AIR Jalandhar began reading Shabad Kirtan from the Golden Temple for 3 hours daily. Bhagwan Singh Bhangra, manager of the Golden Temple, said it is encouraging that devotees can now listen to Gurbani for 2 hours. Many people prefer radio over television for Kirtan as Gurbani is considered more often art to be heard than watched. Aps Sharma, elected Moga mayor amid chaos from Moga. Praveen Sharma has been elected as the new mayor of the Moga Municipal Corporation. Sharma secured victory with the support of 31 of 50 councillors. Farmer leaders arrest sparks protest in Patiala. News from Patiala. 6 injured in mishaps due to fog in Abohar from news from Abohar. 6 persons were injured in sea mishaps due to dense fog in Abohar area. Tablets stolen from hospital from Faridkot. Pond seized in Faridkot jail from Faridkot. Sonalgiri gets Adi charge from Chandigarh. Feel proud as soldier of Sukhbir led Akali Dal, said SGPC chief from Chandigarh. Shironi Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee. SGPC President Harjinder Singh Dhami on Monday said he felt proud to be a soldier of Sukhbir Badal led Akali Dal. The statement comes a day after CM Bhagwant Mann targeted Dhami, saying he considered himself a soldier of Sukhbir Badal instead of Guru Gobind Singh. The criticism followed repeated confrontations between the government and the Apex Gurdwara panel in recent months. Mann had said that instead of performing his primary duty as chief of the SGPC, Dhami was more focused on arranging and addressing political interests of the SAD. The Apex Gurdwara panel is controlled by the SAD. Reacting to the CM allegations, Dhami cited the example of longest serving SGPC President Pant Ratan Gurcharan Singh Toda and five-time CM Prakash Singh Badal. Both worked in coordination with each other. So how could the president of the SGPC and the SAD be separated today? He said, I am proud to be an Akali and simultaneously I will not step back from safeguarding tradition and powers of the institution as its chief servant. He said, Gurudwara panel spokesperson Rupi Singh Jhabbar condemned the CM's volte-face, which he said was a total contrast to his humble appearance before Akal Takht officiating Jathedar Gyani Kuldip Singh Gargwas on January 15. He tried to tarnish the image of a five-time SGPC chief who was an advocate for legal battles on behalf of innocent state youths during his term times of 1980s for free. During his stint as the SGPC chief, he never took a single penny as monetary benefit, he said. SAD claims conspiracy to save Atishi, six independent probe from Chandigarh. The Shiromani Akali Dal or Monday sought an independent investigation into what it termed as a conspiracy to save former Delhi CM and AAP leader Atishi after her arrest, derogatory remarks from Sikh gurus. A video of the alleged remarks had surfaced recently, stoking a major controversy addressing a press conference here. SAD spokesperson Ashdeep Kulher said most shocking was that a files reports tapping the video as doctored was secured from the Mohali Forensic Science Laboratory through the Jalandhar Commissionerate. Clare said the lie of the Jalandhar police had been nailed, with the Delhi speaker presenting a conclusive report to prove that the video was genuine and not tampered with. We demand an independent probe into how a conspiracy was hatched to wipe out the proof. He said, adding that the Punjab police should explain under what jurisdiction they handled the matter as the incident had took place in Delhi. Clare also claimed that the government had been patronizing patronizing gangster decided had been his one statement in a Mohali court that it did not have any evidence against dreaded gangster Jagur Bhagwan Priya. He said the AAP government had earlier facilitated the transfer of Bhagwan Priya from Assam to Punjab during the Telangana Tripod to influence the politician. Feel proud and soldier of Sukhvinder and Akali Dal says as it is chief from Tribune News Service. SAD SAD Congress turns to loot state alleges man says youth forced to immigrate at government institution under from Amritsar. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann on Monday accused the Congress and the SAD of taking turns to loot the state. He said it resulted in youngsters increasingly leaving the country for green pastures as government institutions have hollowed out. Reacting to it, Punjab Congress Chief Amrinder Singh Rajawadi questioned the AAP government's performance since coming to power in 2022. 4 years have elapsed. What have you done for children? He asked. Mark leveled the allegation traffic to frequent switching of ruling party in the past, with the Congress and SAD remaining dominant player despite repeated attempts. Senior SAD leader and spokesperson including Daljit Singh Chima and Arshdeep Singh Clare remained unavailable for comments. The CM was in Ajnala's Bikror village, about 3 kilometers from the India-Pakistan border. To lay the stone for a government degree college, the college will be built at rupees 15 crore. He was accompanied by former Delhi Deputy CM and senior AAP leader Manish Sisodia, Punjab Minister Harjot Band and Harbhajan Singh EO. The college will be named after Baba Gamchak Maharaj, descent from the area, turning both parties as looters. He said they colluded with each other for decades to deprive the state of any development. The government will complete its 4 years on March 16. It is still a year to go for assembly elections, and they are already fighting for whose turn it is next. They want to loot the state. He said, mocking the opposition parties, the previous governments hollowed out states institutions, forcing our children to leave the country in search of a better future. He added, the chief minister claimed that earlier several families in Ajnana's village were hesitant to allow to allow their daughters to pursue higher education as there was no degree college here. Safety girls was a concern. Now the youth of 15 nearby villages will benefit from this college, which is expected to enroll more than 2,000 students in coming years, said Man. Sisodia turned the initiative a pioneering step towards empowering the youth in border areas. It is unfortunate that there was no college in a radius of 70 kilometers in Ajinala. The long-standing demand of people has been fulfilled today. We stand. Amid Rift reports Congress to meet CWC members from state on Jan 23, who's from Chandigarh. Djokovic leads old guard from Melbourne. Novak Djokovic safely negotiated the first hurdle in his quest for a 25th Grand Slam title at the Australian Open on Monday as women's title challengers Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff also eased into the second round on day two of the championships. ICC gives Bangladesh till Jan 21 to decide on participation in T20 WC. From New Delhi, the ICC has asked the Bangladesh Cricket Board to decide on its participation in the T20 World Cup in India by January 21 or risk being replaced by another team in the tournament beginning February 7. Despite the back and forth between ICC and DCB, the ICC and DCB, no solution has been found to the crisis that was triggered by the removal of Bangladesh patient. RCB registered fifth state victory from Vadodara. Gorpi Naik struck a fine half century to steer Royal Challengers Bengaluru to a 51 run win over Gujarat Giants and ensure a top three finish in the women's Premier League. Unbeaten so far, RCB registered their fifth straight win and became the first team to book a knockout berth. Youngsters need to emulate Kohli's mindset, Gavaskar said from New Delhi. Former captain Sunil Gavaskar said India's failure to make good starts cost them the ODI series against New Zealand and the teams better to take a leaf out of Virat Kohli's book to understand how our innings should be paced while chasing difficult targets. India went down in the third and final ODI in Indore by 41 runs to lose their first over 50 over home series against New Zealand, continuing the trend of recent underwhelming results. College Stokes scored with a 108 balls, 124, but could not get a stable partner to steer the challenging chase of 338. Unless Virat Kohli got substantial support, it was always going to be difficult, and he got very little of it. The real problem for India throughout the series has been the starts. As they say, well begin is half done. Gavaskar said India never begin well, and that's one of the main reasons they weren't able to chase these big scores, he added. India had lost half the side at 159, which really dented their chances when you lose someone in good form like KL Rahul. Batters need to get better at converting starts, says Captain Gill, making it count. Shubman Gill, India captain, says, for me, it wasn't that we didn't bat well. It was that we didn't bat long enough. When batsmen are getting starts and they are not able to convert those starts, especially in high scoring matches, it becomes very difficult. At least two batters need to go on and play that long innings. That was the difference between them and us. From Indore, India's first ever bilateral ODI series defeat at home against New Zealand was not just a statistical jolt but a moment of uncomfortable clarity and skipper Shubman Gill did not hide behind the margin of defeat or missing Krishna. Speaking after the loss in the series deciding game, here on Sunday the India captain instead played there a pattern that in his words made the difference between the two teams for me. It wasn't that we didn't bat well, it was that we didn't bat long enough when batsmen are getting starts and they are not able to convert those starts, especially in high scoring matches. It becomes very difficult. And it becomes very difficult at least two batters need to go on and play that long innings, said Gill after the 41 run defeat at Holkar Stadium. That was the difference between them and us. The inability to turn proposing the inability to turn proposing starts into match defining scores haunted India throughout the series, including in the where Virat Kohli's century briefly threatened to swing the momentum back. Gill repeatedly returned to a contrast with New Zealand's applause whenever their batsmen got set. They scored long. That's the difference. Even in the first two matches, I got set, but I wasn't able to convert it into 100, 120, or 130. And that's something we need to get better at as a batting until as a bat as a batting unit, he said India's fielding lapses emerged as another decisive factor, especially as overseas teams continue to narrow the gap in India conditions. Gill admitted that missed chances shifted momentum at critical moments. पीएम के दौरे आज कुरुक्षेत्र दौरे पर आएंगे राहुल गांधी आज कुरुक्षेत्र दौरे पर आएंगे राहुल गांधी देंगे नोटिस का जवाब आओ मुक्तेश्वरानंदन देंगे नोटिस का जवाब आओ मुक्तेश्वरानंदन शास्त्र विरोध कर रहे हैं काम राम भद्राचार्य से आईआईटी कानपुर में पीएचडी आईआईटी कानपुर में फिर आईआईटी कानपुर में पीएचडी कॉलेज की छठी मंजिल से कूद कर जान 22 दिन में दूसरे छात्र ने की आत्महत्या पत्नी और बच्ची के साथ रहता था कॉलेज की छठी मंजिल से कूद कर दी जान आईआईटी कानपुर IMF raises India's final year 26 GDP growth projection to 7.3% from New Delhi. Silver hits new record of 3 lakh rupees, gold crosses 1.40 lakh crore rupees. UNEP seeks yes vote for reform agenda in upcoming referendum. From Dhaka, no PM for over 10 years if plebiscite passes. Bangla court opened Hindu monks' trial over lawyers' murder from Dhaka. Trump links Greenland threat to Nobel. Snap EU eyes counter tariffs. Not obligated to peace, US pledge. US President Trump, in a written message to the Norwegian Prime Minister, said he no longer felt obligated to think purely of people, as he had not been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and he repeated his demand for control of Greenland. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Monday said the UK and US remained close allies and that a trade war was in no one's interest amid mounting pressure from President Trump's tariff threats over his pursuit of Greenland. News from Paris. US President Donald Trump linked his drive to take control of Greenland to his failure to win the Nobel Prize, saying he no longer thought purely of peace as the row over the island on Monday threatened to reignite a trade war with Europe. Trade has intensified in push to wrest sovereignty over Greenland from fellow NATO member Denmark, threatening punitive tariffs on countries which stand in his way and prompting the EU to wait beating back with its own measures. It has also plunged the trade relations between the EU and the US and bloc's biggest export market into renewed uncertainty after the two sides painstakingly reached a trade deal last year in response to Trump's swinging tariff. Two Chinese among 7 killed in Kabul blast, four Afghans entering Kazakhstan shore from Kabul. An explosion at a restaurant in downtown Kabul on Monday killed at least 7 people and wounded about a dozen more, according to police and an Italian charity running a surgical unit in the city. Digital Open Varsities Policy notified from Chandigarh. The Education Department has notified that Punjab private digital open universities policy enabling students to complete their degree courses online without the need to attend classes on campus. Notified by the State Education Department on January 15, the policy allows the private sector to set up digital universities in Punjab. With this, Punjab has become the second state in the country after Kerala to have such a system in place. Digital universities will have physical campuses which will be used as headquarters for administrative purposes. No class will be held on the campus. In the notification, higher High Education Administrative Secretary Anindita Mitra shared the broad objective of the policy was to provide teaching and training in higher education through digital, online, distance or open modes and to make provisions for research, innovation through technology-enabled systems. She said the digital university will offer programs of study at undergraduate, postgraduate and professional levels through online classes, digital assessments, virtual laboratories and other technology enabled tools. The interested private players must have 5 years of credible experience in online teaching and maintain a cost of at least rupees 20 crore. A processing fee of rupees 5 lakh had to be submitted to the Department of Higher Education along with the application. Once the approval is received, another rupees 20 lakh has to be paid to the government. The government has stated that at least 15% of the seats in the digital Open universities will have to be reserved for the Punjab resident. The government will impose penalties up to rupees 25 lakh if any of the University Grants Commission or the other norms violated by the private players. 10 lakh rupees cashless health cover to be launched on Jan 22 from Chandigarh Health Minister Dr. Balbir Singh. On Monday, announced that the state government's Mukhyamantri Sehat Yojana, providing cashless medical treatment up to rupees 10 lakh, will be formally launched on January 22, addressing a press conference at the AAP office in Chandigarh. The health minister scheduled the volunteers to go door to door throughout the state to distribute tokens. Citizens would have to visit designated centers with those tokens along with their Aadhaar cards and voter cards to get their health cards made. Emphasizing zero tolerance towards fraud or exploitation, the health minister had the entire cost of the scheme, from the preparation of health cards to medical treatment, would be borne by the government, and no individual or agency was permitted to charge over a single rupee at any stage. The government is providing health cards free of cost. Anyone who makes fake health cards or charges people in the name of this scheme will face legal action, he added, referring to complaints received from Mukhtar and Mansa. He said the government had already taken strict action where some individuals were illegally charging rupees 50 for making health cards. Both users have been suspended, their licenses cancelled, and FIRs registered against them, added the minister. She is here from Firozpur. Scheduled for US, scheduled for PO Senate election now from Chandigarh. Wanted criminal nabbed after shootout in Doraha from Doraha. Non-tax revenue of assets sale targets reached in 9 months. Record collection is causing pressure on state from Chandigarh. 6 लाख करोड़ के MOU से बदलेगा दश महाराष्ट्र को मिला 6 लाख करोड़ का निवेश महाराष्ट्र अदानी समूह के बीच MOU 6 लाख करोड़ का मेगा निवेश 6 लाख करोड़ के MOU से बदलेगा दशक दावोस में महाराष्ट्र मास्टर प्लान महाराष्ट्र अदानी समूह के बीच MOU 6 लाख करोड़ का मेगा निवेश पैकेज No sure if Pandits want to settle in Valley, Farooq says from Jammu. Who is stopping them from returning home? Former Chief Minister and National Conference President Farooq Abdullah on Monday said the Kashmiri Pandits were welcome to return to their homes in the valley but wondered whether they would want to settle down or not. His remarks came as the displaced community observed the 36th anniversary of its exodus from Kashmir. Talking to reporters on the sidelines of an event, he said, when will they return? Who had stopped them? They should go on, as many Pandits are still staying there. Those Pandits did not leave their homes but stayed back. During my tenure, I had told the Pandits that we will give them houses if they return. Abdullah, however, noted that the community would first need to assess the situation, as many Kashmiri Pandits were now settled across different parts of the country. They have grown older, many are seeking medical treatment, and their children are studying in colleges, schools, and universities. They may visit, but I don't think they will return to live there permanently, he said. Kashmiri Pandits observe January 19 as Holocaust Day to mark the exodus of their community members from their valley in 1990. Due to threats and killings by terrorists, members of the community staged protests at various places in support of their demands, including a separate homeland within the Kashmir Valley. Under the umbrella of Youth for Jammu Kashmir, they blocked the Jammu Srinagar National Highway near the Jati area, triggering massive traffic jams. The protesters sought a separate homeland within the Kashmir region and demanded that a bill be passed in parliament to recognize their genocide. Well, stopped terror hideout in Kishtwar points to local support contained ration items, cooking gas stoves, cylinders, several blankets, and woolens from Jammu, a well-equipped kitchen and hideout allegedly used by terrorists in the dense forest of Chaturvedi area in Kiswar district was unearthed by the army on Monday, a day after an encounter in which a soldier was killed. The hideout was detected during a search operation launched to track down Pakistani terrorists involved in the encounter. Security personnel found a makeshift kitchen constructed with stones and concealed under tarpaulin, indicating that the terrorists had established a long-term base in the area. The structure had multiple entry and exit points designed to facilitate quick escape in the events of a surprise raid. Several blankets were found spread on the floor, suggesting that the hideout was also being used for shelter. Troops were surprised by the quantity and variety of supplies recovered from the site. The kitchen was stocked with ration items including rice, wheat, flour, spices, instant noodles, eggs, and vegetables. One burner gas stove and gas cylinders were also recovered. One team also found partially cooked eggs in utensils, leading to the belief that the terrorists were preparing food when they noticed the movement of troops nearby and retaliated by hurling grenades, injuries, injuring 8 army personnel during the encounter. Officials said the recovery highlighted the logistical support network available to terrorists infiltrating from across the border as access to gas cylinders and local ration would not have been possible without local assistance. The hideout competition was built on a slope having thick forest coverage was not visible from a distance, further underscoring the planning involved in setting up the facility. Clothing, including woolen and wool shoes, was also recovered from the site at all times. All items were seized by the all items were seized by the army, security forces, and operations were continuing in the area to neutralize the terrorists who are now believed to be without access to food and water. In a related development, a joint team of the army and police recently busted three terrorist ideas on Simla, Bhilwara area of Kathua district, where two encounters had taken place earlier. Essential supplies, including food and clothing, were recovered from those sites as well. From cancer care to clean energy, Cabinet unveils multi-sector push. Also cleared Asia's longest zipline near Dharamshala and approves welfare cess for orphans, widows is from Shimla. State to pay 32 crore rupees a year to keep Shimla flights airborne from Shimla. Cabinet approves viability gap funding for Alliance Air to operate Delhi Shimla Dharamshala sector. PRI elections had to be held in before April 30 from Shimla. It is All India Presiding Officers Conference 19 to 21 January 2026 from Lucknow, National Delegation on Parliamentary Procedures by presiding officers of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, Legislative Assemblies and Legislative Councils. The cab driver's pearls of wisdom. On the last day of our US trip somewhere between the hotel and the San Francisco airport, our cab driver did what every driver does. Looked at us in the rear view mirror and asked, "So, where are you from?" That innocent question led to a life lesson pit stop a few minutes into the ride. He casually announced, "I have been married for 40 years, you want some dates?" At that point, saying no felt disrespectful to wisdom itself. He started by asking me, "How many friends do you have?" I said confidently, "Many." He smiled and said, "None." Then paused for effect and added, "Only money is your real friend. No warning, no questioning." After just straight truth at 60 miles per hour. Money is our best friend. He continued, "Don't overspend. Buy only what you really need." Perfect timing, considering he was dropping us at an airport full of duty-free temptation. Then came advice on marriage, unfiltered and clearly field tested. Whatever happens between a couple should stay within the couple, he shared. Without missing a beat, he added, "Never let any woman come close to your husband. Not jealousy, not insecurity, just boundary." According to him, then in one sentence, he redefined architecture and marriage. The wife is the foundation, the husband is the building, windows, decoration, everything else, strong base first, fancy later. India and South Africa, the government of India will have one more opportunity, probably the last before the Asiatic bill comes up for the final disposal in the South Africa, the South African Parliament of showing whether the steps which it has so often professed to have in contemplation in connection with that iniquitous measure consist in anything more and anything else than merely making humble representations to the South African government. Crack the whip, take tourists to task or define advisors, chance for India to bridge the Gulf. The UAE is India's third largest trading partner and the second largest export destination. Uni- United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, widely known as Abiz, made a flying visit to New Delhi on Monday. The essence of having planned litigation about the visit implies that it concerned the rapidly changing geopolitical scenario in the Gulf and West Asia. The UAE, a coalition of crucial states formed after the British agreed the region in 1921, traditionally followed a status quo based on confrontational foreign policy in 2002. An Indian delegation visited the UAE when I was the ambassador. After the terror attack on the Indian parliament, then President Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, Abzi's father, received the visitors. Gaza peace plan. Trump's proposal threatens to undermine UN. Spain may feel it trade हादसा. Spain may feel लड़ी trade. बार्सिलोना में ट्रेन हादसा, एक मौत। चंडीगढ़ पुलिस और गैंगस्टरों में मुठभेड़, हादसे में 10 लोग घायल। स्पेन में फिर एक ट्रेन हादसा, शंकराचार्य पर धर्म युद्ध, कौन किसके विरुद्ध। बाघ मेला में तनातनी, राम भद्राचार्य की चेतावनी। SYL dispute can be resolved by the Constitution. Punjab needs constitutional justice. Its trial keeps the states warm, expression, pastry. Recent, a recent article by Yogendra Yadav advocating initiative settlement of the Satluj Jamna link canal reveals a troubling trend. Name game is an insult to Dayal Singh's legacy. The college would be a tribute to Dayal Singh Majitian. Sardar Dayal Singh Majitian, 1888 to 1908, philanthropist, champion of intellectual freedom and social worker. He established the trust, the Guru Trust, the College Trust, and Library Trust. Nominee versus legal here, who is legally entitled to funds. If a nominee has been appointed for a bank account, the bank may release funds to the nominee. However, ownership of those funds follows inheritance law or a business plan or a seamless transfer of money and assets to those who intend to leave them to after, after our demise. Unfortunately, many people mistakenly assume that merely nominating someone that is sufficient and nomination say automatically transfers ownership to the nominee after the death of the account holder or asset owner. In beginning, let's say Karthik appointed his 21-year-old daughter Sudha as the funds released by the bank. In other words, nomination ensures a smooth and hassle-free release of funds by the institution but does not control ownership. Legally, in most cases, a nominee merely acts as a custodian or trustee, receiving or holding the money or asset on behalf of the legal heirs who are the rightful owners under the inheritance law. For instance, assume Karthik is also survived by his mother, wife, and his son. In that case, the mother, wife, and his son and daughter are all his legal heirs and legally entitled to his money and assets. The reform, therefore, should the bank may hand over the funds or assets to his daughter, who is nominee. The legal heirs are entitled to claim their lawful share in accordance with the succession law. In short, the nominee acts only as a custodian, whereas ownership of the funds of assets rests with the legal heir. While nominee is paid after the demise of an account holder, the bank or financial institution releases the funds to the nominee to avoid delays and administrative complications. They are more concerned with the seamless transfer of funds. Questions of ownership are beyond their issue, are beyond their purview. Payment to the nominee enables the bank to close the account and discharges its responsibility. However, such payment neither determines or transfer ownership of the funds nor overrides legal here rights of the respective succession laws. Who is the legal here? The legal here is the one who is entitled to inherit the money or assets of the deceased person under succession law or a valid will. In short, they are the rightful legal owners of the funds. In Karthik's case, his mother, wife, son, and daughter are all legal heirs. Legal heirs are determined by personal laws such as the Hindu Succession Act, Indian Succession Act, the Muslim Personal Law, Application Act 1937 or any other applicable inheritance laws. The Hindu Succession Act is applicable to Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs and includes Virashva, a Linayat or a follower of the Brahmo. What if there is a will? If Kartik had executed a valid will, his assets will be distributed in accordance with the will, and the provisions of the Hindu Succession Act will apply only to any property not covered by the will. Succession laws will apply only to assets not covered by the will or where the will is invalid or incapable of being given effect to. Nomination cases, one transfer act does not determine ownership. Relying only on nomination is not a strict planning and money or assets may not be distributed or transferred as intended. Setting up SIP or an active fund. लैपटॉप में खुलेंगे KGMU धर्मांतरण नोएडा इंजीनियर मौत केस में अफसरों से सवाल नोएडा इंजीनियर मौत केस बीजेपी के नए राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बने नितिन नवीन SIR पर टीएमसी विधायक की आग धमकी सरकारी योजनाएं गरीब के घर तक पहुंचे पीएम से कार्यभार संभालने 7 एक्शन में नवीन सत्ता को सुख नहीं सेवा बीजेपी पर जनता का विश्वास बढ़ता ही रहा है पीएम मोदी से तो ट्रंप का हाथ काट देंगे ईरानी सेना से नितिन जी बीजेपी की विरासत को आगे बढ़ाएंगे पीएम मोदी से आज का क्षण मेरे लिए संकल्प का क्षण है नितिन नवीन सेज फ्रॉम बिहार ग्रेटर नोएडा इंजीनियर मौत बिल्डर अरेस्ट एक दिन न्यायिक हिरासत कार ने रुंदा बच्ची की मौत सीसीटीवी कैमरे में कैद हुई घटना बाइक सवार की मौत का लाइव वीडियो कार सवार की गलती से गई जान महाराष्ट्र में 10 साल में 6 लाख करोड़ निवेश करेगा अदानी बाइक सवार की मौत का लाइव वीडियो बांद्रा में धीरेन्द्र शास्त्री काष्ट्रवाद नहीं राष्ट्रवाद बदमाशों ने तलवार लहराकर फैलाई हाथों में तलवार दुकानों के शटर तोड़े बदमाशों ने तलवार लहराकर फैलाई दहशत दिल्ली एनसीआर से ग्रैब वॉर की पाबंदियां हटी पिस्टल दिखाकर कार लूटने की कोशिश soft matter the user yet persistent physics inside your bathroom cabinet every morning as you use either your toothpaste or shampoo you engage with soft matter materials that flow like liquids under force but hold their shape at rest. This fascinating behavior challenges our understanding of material properties. Every morning you perform a small physics activity without realizing it. You squeeze toothpaste out of a tube, you apply a force and the paste flows out like a liquid. When you stop squeezing, the toothpaste stays on the brush, holding its shape against gravity. It doesn't drip, spread or collapse into a puddle. This simple act confronts us with a fundamental question in physics. How do materials respond to forces and what makes something like toothpaste flow when pushed yet remain solid when left alone, solid or liquid? In schools, materials are neatly divided into solids and liquids. Know Your English. His book club event was symbolic. I do not like going to my new school. The class leader is very arrogant and officious. What is the meaning of shambolic? How is the word pronounced? Cricket fan who watched the recent Ashes series that took place in Australia will be familiar with this word. Commentators from England used it quite disastrous performance. Former England captain Michael Vaughan referred to his country's reputation for the ill-fated series as shambolic. The word is mostly limited to informal contact in British English. When you refer to a situation as being symbolic, what you are suggesting is that it is disorganized and chaotic. It is difficult to make sense of the situation. The word, which is a combination of shambles and the space, symbolic can be used with people as well. Don't promote her. She is too symbolic to be put in charge of any department. As for the pronunciation, the word consists of six syllables. The first rhyme with bar, dam, and jam. The vowel in the school syllable sounds like O in word, not word, while the final syllable is pronounced like the word lick. The word is pronounced shame, the O lick, with the stress on the second syllable. What is the meaning of they made a bomb when they sold the house? Johan Abraham from Bangalore, the word bomb is frequently used in the informal context to refer to money. For example, if you were to say, Ajay's new car cost him a bomb, what you are suggesting is that the vehicle was rather expensive. He spent a lot of money on it. Here are few more example. Sheba spent a bomb on her wedding. On the other hand, when someone makes a bomb on something, they make a lot of money. Shashi made a bomb in the stock market. These levels, the O in the first and the U pig in the second is pronounced like the word fish. The word is pronounced of the second level. It comes from the Latin officious meaning mercy. Beautiful when the word was borrowed into English. It had a positive meaning. It referred to someone who helped people but over a period of time. The word underwent a radical change in meaning. Today it is mostly used to indicate disapproval when you refer to an individual as being officious. What you are suggesting is that he is meddlesome, someone who keeps helping people by telling them what they should and should not do, especially about trivial matters. विवाद बेहिसाब कानूनी प्रक्रिया का उल्लंघन शंकराचार्य की धार्मिक सत्ता की बात लिखी गई मुक्तेश्वरानंद ने नोटिस का दिया जवाब जवाब में मेला प्राधिकरण के आरोपों को नकारा स्वरूपानंद सरस्वती ने बनाया उत्तराधिकारी आठ पन्ने का मुक्तेश्वरानंद मेला क्षेत्र में तनातनी किसने दी चेतावनी लखनऊ के चंडीगढ़ में पुलिस एनकाउंटर में 3 बदमाशों को लगी गोली invoking the court's plenary powers invoking the court's plenary powers under Article 142 of the Constitution, a bench of Justice J.V. Pardiwala and R. Mahadevan in a 38-page order issued a series of directions including that vacant faculty position in both public and private higher education institutions must be filled within 4 months. Appointments of vice chancellors and registrars must be made within a month of the post falling vacant as a matter of practice. The backlog of pending scholarship disbursements must be cleared within a period of 4 months by the relevant central and state government authorities said the number of incidents of students crumbling under pressure to take their own lives has reached epidemic proportion given as the National Education Policy 2020 had set an ambitious target of achieving a 50% gross enrollment ratio by the year 2035. Purely quantitative expansion without any adequate institutional support framework has left students vulnerable as directly evidenced by the recurring instances of campus tragedies the court noted. Students who interacted with the Supreme Court appointed National Task Force during a survey shared that extremely rigid attendance policies, overburdening and unplanned phasing or scheduling of the academic curriculum, exam assessment methodology, faculty shortage, non-transparent or non-existent placement processes were stressors affecting their mental health. Medical students spoke about exploitative academic culture coupled with on all hours being stressed well beyond the prescribed limit, going as far as 36 to 48 hours in one go. For opposition leaders booked as slow word, Monica Ghat is intensified. Government is proud of Indian companies investigating abroad, Commerce Minister says from New Delhi. Citing air pollution report, Council Central Living in denied Rahul Gandhi to attend Mandela protest in Delhi from New Delhi. Syndicate tax is hurting Bengal. Modi said investments will come to state only when law and order situation improves, says PM. Alleges writers, mafia have free run and police are ready to blow with criminal, accusing state government of playing with the national security by adding infiltrators as it is not providing land for border fencing. India's power distribution utilized costs 2,701 crore rupees profited final year 2024 to 25. Borders should not be decided by tanks or terrorists but through negotiation by Radoslav Sikorski from Jaipur. Polish Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister says his country is faced with India's reduction in Russian oil purchases of New Delhi shares the view that your definition of jungle become acceptable is not a good word. He expresses optimism for an EU-India FTA soon. As a an opportunity to fine-tune crypto policies, say industry players. Terrorists engaged in firing troops deployed in Pakistan. Remarks against Colonel Qureshi Supreme Court to hear happy Mr. students. शंकराचार्य पर संग्राम शंकराचार्य पर धर्म युद्ध कौन किसके विरुद्ध संगम में धर्म युद्ध कौन किसके विरुद्ध मेरा क्षेत्र में तनातनी किसने दी चेतावनी I thank all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teachers, trainers, professors, professional, officer, officials. I thank all respected doctors and directors. I thank all honorable ministers and managers. I thank all honorable advocates, advertisers, administrative advisors. I thank the most honorable President Prince Modi ji. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Nice to see all of you. Good morning to all of you. Thank you.